The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Reaper Apparel Company. Reaper Apparel offers a casual line of superb fit, finish, and comfort. We design for those who refuse to die slowly and choose to live untamed. For those who aren't afraid to face the dark, for the ones that thrive in it, and for those who can appreciate life through a grim lens. That's Reaper Apparel Company. Go to the link in the description of this episode, use the promo code Mike Bono, and get 10% off. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Tactical Brotherhood, all American-made apparel, which helps support the Second Amendment. You can also find all this in the description of this episode with the link Tactical Brotherhood. Part of every proceed does go to helping veterans. It is a very good cause. All American-made products made right here in Minnesota. Go and check them out. Use the promo code PATRIOT15 to get 15% off your purchase. The Ride Home Rants podcast wants to thank you for listening and let everybody know that we do offer monthly subscriptions to help support the show in other ways other than listening and downloading each episode. What you will get with each subscription is you will get bonus episodes that aren't released to everybody. You will also have a chance to ask me anything each and every month where I will put out a special episode just to answer your questions. You will also get more exclusive content that is not released to everybody. To subscribe to the show, go and click on the link in the description of this episode, and I look forward to your added support and to help us keep this show going. The Ride Home Rants podcast is also brought to you by Buddy's Beard Care. Buddy's Beard Care provides premium men's grooming products at an affordable price. Products are made in Ohio, and Buddy's Beard Care supports local. The majority of our supplies are from other Ohio-based companies. You can find them on social media at Buddy's Beard Care or online at buddysbeardcare.com. Use the promo code BONO15 and he will save you 15%. I've been using these products for a little over 6 months now, and my beard has never felt healthier. It has never grown faster, and according to my wife, it has never felt softer. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by former guest of the show in Matt Landowski in Sweet Hands Sports. Elevate their game with Sweet Hands Sports. Our sports gloves are designed for champions, providing ultimate grip and durability. Achieve greatness with every match. Choose Sweet Hands Sports for the winning edge. Grip your victory at sweethandsports.com. Use the promo code BONO10 and he will save you 10%. He has sent me a complimentary pair of golf gloves. They are so comfortable, durable, and breathable. You won't find a better pair of gloves out there. Again, sweethandsports.com, promo code BONO10. Lastly, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Deemed Fit, a clothing company from first responders for first responders. These products are so comfortable. They look great. They have great messages on them. They are provided to support first responders, especially those who worked through COVID. All of the proceeds are going to helping veterans and first responders with their mental and physical health. This is a great cause. I support anything that has to do with our first responders and our veterans. Again, deemedfit.co, promo code Mike Bono will save you 20%. Now, let's start the show. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. This is, as always, your host, Mike Bono. I have a great guest for us today. He's coming to us all the way from Case Western Reserve University. He is the Director of Athletics in the chair of the Physical Education Department, and that is TJ Shelton. TJ, thank you for joining.
Oh, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Hey, not a problem at all. So like I said in the intro there, you're the director of athletics and the chair of the physical education department there at Western Reserves. So how long have you been in that role at Case?
Yeah, it started January 2022. And so kind of climbing through, as I joke with the student athletes, I'm in my senior year as well with them. So if you put it into academic terms. So yeah, it's been a fun 3+ years working working here and serving the Spartan community.
Okay, so what do those roles kind of entail? Like, they seem to kind of coincide a little bit with one another, but I'm pretty sure there's some differences there.
Yeah, I think when you look at some of the differences in Division One, two, and three, right? Division three institutions, you're aligned with the under the student affairs division. You have oversight of not only athletics but intramural sport clubs, as well as campus recreation and wellness. And other component for us is the physical education courses. Our students have to take activity courses during their 4-year career, and our coaches serve. Our coaches are faculty members, and our coaches serve as the PE teachers for those courses. So so that kind of really gives a snapshot of all those units under my title.
Yeah, I mean, as a former D3 athlete myself at Bethany College, so I definitely understand how, the coaches are a part of the administration there. They are teachers that you will have for class sometimes, professors you will have for class sometimes. And, I love the physical education part of it because part of one of my classes was golf. So I got to get up at 8 in the morning and go to the golf course in the morning. So I don't really think that that's a bad class, and it counts as a physical education credit. So I liked that with the D3 aspect of everything and having that close knit community, where you see your coaches every day on campus and you're not just being summoned to their office. You may be in one of their classes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for us, it helps you align with the university and the academic mission. Our students are, high academics and, taking, tough course loads. So it gives them an opportunity to make sure they're getting a release, right, from a,
Yeah.
wellness perspective. They get to pick their course. So, some are, love racquetball, never played it. You don't want to join that. Some won't play basketball or, right now popular is, our we kind of have a games type course where they go out and do different games as well as pickleball is really taken up. But we have spin class and some wellness components, yoga, stretching for mobility, those type of things. So things that they can use in their everyday life, while they're working on their engineering degree or business degree or whatever. So, and then I think, as I mentioned, I think it really aligns our coaches, as you mentioned, they're across campus and the students see them not only coaching their program, but get to know them from their class perspective. So it really builds a community that is, I feel like is unique for our coaching and our staff.
Absolutely. And we had something at Bethany that we would do. I mean, every day was noon hoops. We
Uh,
would a bunch of us would get together at the rec and we just play a little pickup game of basketball. And a lot of times there were coaches, there were professors and joining in. And you're getting to, about an hour, hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours, depending on how heated the games got, that we were just hanging out and it was a normal person. It wasn't coach, athlete, or professor, student. It was adults coming together to play a pickup game of basketball and really get to know one another. And I like that,
yeah,
especially at a smaller school like that.
yeah, like you said, very unique. And have an undergrad, a graduate student, and a faculty member. That's the beauty of a recreation program at those type of institutions. I tell you a fun fact. My many moons ago, when I was at Washington University, we'd played pickup quite a bit, and ended up playing with some faculty in the intramural league, and we ended up winning the championship. And we had a couple faculty members that could just light it up.
Yeah.
And it was just a fun time. So I always say I'd won a intramural T-shirt. Even after I completed my undergrad and graduate degrees. So
Oh, absolutely. I mean, The one noon hoops game I don't want to say regret playing in, but I regret playing in. You know, you're up there with the faculty and students, and it's a sports event, and you're talking a little trash, and my swim coach walks in, and kind of put the kibosh on me playing because we were getting close to the
The
mid
season time,
season,
right?
and
Yeah.
so he was like, "You were one of my best stylers and backstrokes. I don't need you getting an injury playing nude hoops, so I'm gonna have to shut you down for the day." I was like, "I get it, coach. I get it. We got a big meet coming up. I'm just trying to stay loose is all I'm trying to do." But you actually work with former guest of the show here and women's soccer coach at Case Western, Alyssa Johnson. How has Alyssa done as a coach for the women's team and being in your athletic department?
Yeah, no, Alyssa really came in, hit the ground running. She really prides herself through the interview process, really of culture and developing young women through the sport of soccer, and really took to that kind of message and philosophy of it wasn't just about winning games, but it was really about creating a sisterhood of young women and really growing and connecting and it's tough when you're a new coach and
Right.
it's not your recruiting class 2 or 3 years of students, and she really made a great connection. We were NCAA bound previously with that program, and want to keep things moving, and she they were able to do well in the conference and qualify for the NCAA championship and tournament, and I think that's a testament to not only her knowledge of the sport, but being able to really connect and build, immediately with that team and, provide her leadership as they move forward. As same thing, right? You're almost a freshman. You're trying to get to know the team, getting to know
Right.
the upperclassmen, but also put together a product where you can be competitive in a strong conference. So we're really pleased with what she's done in her short time on campus.
Yeah, I had no doubt Alyssa was going to go in there and just build a culture that was about winning after sitting and talking to her. She's been on the show a couple of times too. Love Alyssa to death. She's probably a big supporter of the show and everything like that. So I always like to check in on former guests when I can. I know somebody that's been working with them in that, and I do follow them. I have her on all social media, so I've been following what Case has been doing there in soccer and especially in women's, and she's doing great things. But you're right, it's tough as a new coach coming in. It's not your recruiting class. You're building your recruiting class to build your culture there, and that's tough for any new coach. And it's just, it's great to see her having success while she's still building her program.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So prior to you working at Case Western, you worked at Ohio State for about 15 years, I believe. What did you do at OSU in your time there?
Yeah, so my main role was a sport administrator and we had 36 sports, so there were kind of three primary associate ads for sport administration. So we had oversight of certain programs. So for me, I had oversight of our cross country, track and field programs, swimming and diving, or softball programs. All throughout the years, I had lacrosse and oversight of field hockey, and so our Olympic sports, wrestling as well. So just an opportunity, with that large of a program, really provide really kind of day-to-day access and work with our coaches and our support staff to ensure our students are getting the really the same attention and support a football program or basketball programs would receive. Those were outstanding years, and we had a lot of success and really provided opportunity for me to grow professionally in my career.
Yeah. It's great to hear about like the Olympic sports getting a little bit of love somewhere, anywhere. As someone who was an Olympic hopeful in swimming back in 2012, coming from a little Division III school at Bethany, I always root for those sports: wrestling, swimming. Um, I think some schools have like a fencing program, stuff like
Yep.
that you only see once every 4 years. Where people ask, I got the question all the time out of Bethany, there's no chance of like a quote unquote pro career like the NFL, the NBA, the NHL. So why continue into college with a sport? One, I love the sport of swimming. If it wasn't for an unfortunate injury at 36 years old, I'd probably still be swimming today.
Right.
And it's not about a, I don't want to say career afterwards in like the NFL and the MLB and all that. I love what I do, and if I can go out and have a chance to represent my country every 4 years, that's what I'm going to do. That's what I want to do, and it really opened a lot of eyes to a lot of people. And Johnny Falcone was one of them. You know, good manager of the friend, good friend at Bethany. You know, was he had a found respect for swimmers because he knew the toll it takes on a person's body, and being able to use muscles that you don't even really realize you have until you get into the pool when you're doing a pool workout. So I always love seeing people that can support that. Ohio State never offered me a scholarship back in the day, and that kind of stuck in my craw a little bit. But I lost a lot of scholarships because of an injury my senior year of high school, so probably wouldn't have stuck even if they did. You get a shoulder injury as a swimmer, and that pretty much puts a
Right.
kibosh on your career pretty quickly.
No, absolutely.
But thank goodness to Bethany who kept their scholarship for me so that I could still continue, at least, albeit only for 2 years till the injury reflared itself, but continue to do a sport that I loved. And it's great to see uh, those sports getting attention other places
Yeah.
that you don't normally see.
Right. And you touched on right there, right? The commitment, the love of the sport. They've been doing it, whether, a wrestler or, track athlete or swimmer, um, you know, since they're 5, 6 years old. So that,
Right.
I tell people, that's the beauty of sport, right? Is, you can, participate in something at a high level in a variety of ways. So as you mentioned, even a fencing program. But, for us, we had success not only trying to chase Big Ten championships and NCAA championships, but then also, so many athletes representing their country, including our coaches is serving, as Olympic coaching on the staff. So just, great, recruiting tool, great message, and really put, really for us, broad-based success across the board. So not only competing, for national championships in football, but one of the highlights is winning a national championship in wrestling and having individual national champions in swimming, as you mentioned,
Yeah.
and also in track and field. So those are just a couple of examples of high level committed athletes, at the Division I level.
Yeah, that it's amazing to see. But to get back to Case Western, where you're currently at, what's a typical schedule like with everything that you got going on there during the academic year and then during the summer, considering your position and your roles there at Case Western?
Yeah, that's always, I have students reach out to me and say, hey, tell me a typical day, and you're like, man, it just never is a typical one. But,
Right.
I think for the most part, you always try to, early in the week, you kind of plan out to the week, right? So you're looking, for us, we're looking at schedules. We may have this time of year, we'll have a midweek non-conference soccer game traditionally or volleyball. Then coming up on the weekend, naturally, football, whether it's home or away. Usually both, the soccer's cross country, everybody's kind of going. So, planning that out, what are the support the coaches need, double checking, ensuring if we got travel arrangements made, that our staff has everything set up, whether it's hotels, buses, even flights for, some of our programs. Try to attend practice throughout that week as well. Just touching base. Love to see how a team performs. In practices. Either prior to practice or practice is over. You touch base with the coaching staff. And the issues there. The athletic trainers are out there. What how are we looking in injuries? Are we getting any back? Are we getting our appointments in for rehab? So really just trying to ensure that, our staff, our management team is providing the resources necessary for our students to perform, obviously academically, but then, participate in the sport they love. So.
Yeah, I always have a found respect for the people behind the scenes of these sporting events and how they go off without a hitch. Worked closely at Bethany with the radio station, which you don't wouldn't think that was something that um, would have a lot to do with what how a game goes off. But when I mean, as the sports director there for a year, I got to announce every home football, basketball,
Oh,
baseball
nice.
game. I loved radio. I thought I was going to have a career in broadcast. Obviously, I mean, but the podcast kind of helps out a lot with that a little bit now. But there's a lot that goes into it with setting up, making sure people are where they need to be, and working with the athletic directors and the people that are in your position. And that, okay, where do we set up? Where can I have my field reporters? Where can I have this camera set up? Where can I have this set up so that we can have this broadcast to some of these students that are coming from across the country that their parents can't make it to every game, so they
Right.
rely on us to be able to watch their son or daughter or whatever play the sport that they're in college a lot of the times to do. And it's a lot of fun. And obviously, once the game gets rolling, there's there's not much you can do. But even the travel across campus could be difficult getting everything set up and everything like that. So kudos to you for being able to do that with a lot of travel and even directing flights and hotels and whatnot. I even remember my conference championships in swimming, going from Bethany, West Virginia to Grove City,
Yep.
and just that bus ride, getting the hotels, getting checked into the hotels, and then your schedule kind of starts from there. Okay, well, it's a 4-day conference championships in swimming. It's not just a 1-day event. It's
Mhm.
you're there for a week basically, and everything is scripted, from breakfasts to lunches to your proteins that you get at the pool, the Gatorades that are there to help keep us hydrated and everything like that, and keep us going throughout a long swim meet, which a lot of people don't know. That's hours. We're talking like a whole
Right.
day of it. Your day is shot if you have a have a
Right.
meet. And having these go off without a hitch is incredible. And I have a found respect for people in your position for that reason.
Yeah, yeah. And you take pride in it. We always joke you're kind of like officials, right? If you're part of the game, then something went wrong, right? Whether it's a scoreboard goes out and those things happen, or but for us, it's ensuring everything's set up as you mentioned in advance, and so the athlete, the coaches can walk to the competition and compete and not have to worry about those things. And it's from fan and ticket sales to ensuring concessions is lined up, and getting, like you said, everyone into the right spot. When you host a, swim meet, right, you have multiple teams. A
Yeah.
simple thing is, 6 to 8 teams with, different buses, right? Like, where do they park? How do they, do drop off smoothly to get, and then move the buses and bring them back for the, after the competition. If it's not done well thought out of, then it can kind of spiral out of control. So it's those little things that you take pride in. And we've been able to, since my arrival, we've hosted NCAA championships. We put bids in and our teams have qualified, and we've hosted basketball, soccer numerous times. We've been able to host softball, uh, both tennises and baseball. And my goal is always that, if we're good enough that and our facilities are quality, we want our student athletes to sleep in their own bed, and their
Yeah.
friends to be able to come out and watch them compete. And as the NCAA championships tend to be all over the country, even regionally. So if you're on the road, it is a true. There's no neutral site. You are
No.
at that venue. So we want to host as much as we can. So we've taken pride in that, and not only hosting conference championships in a couple of sports, but we've hosted quite a bit of NCAA most recently.
Yeah, that's awesome. And being able to host something, like, I wish Bethany had the facility to be able to host the conference championships that we get to do, but Grove City's facility and just the everything there was top notch, from the hotel where we were staying at having a sauna in it so that we could loosen up after a long day of competing, to us having access to that. And even like you said, it's as, something people don't think about, the buses for 6 to 8 teams that are arriving essentially at the same time, and
Right.
everything going off without a hitch, nobody getting in anybody's ways. Buses are going over and parking where they're supposed to be, and nobody sees who's actually behind that, and it's awesome. But I do want to switch gears a little bit here. Kind of like me, you are a proud dad. Are your kids following in their dad's administrative path in their college ranks, or what are they? Are they forging their own path?
Yeah, my son has a little bit. He graduated from Dayton. Was a 3, 4 sport athlete as most kids are growing up. So really enjoyed his time and grew up in the shadows of Ohio Stadium at Ohio State. To he's be able to participate in a lot of attending games with me over the years. So he lives in Columbus. Like I said, received his bachelor's degree from Dayton University, and he's going to start actually Monday working for the Columbus Sports Commission role there. So
Nice.
obviously a lot of events come through that region, and he's looking forward to kind of really launching his career from that standpoint. And daughter just what, a month ago, almost to the day, just graduated from Cincinnati. So she was a volleyball player growing up predominantly, and had a good experience and enjoyed her time at Cincinnati. She did work 1 year at the ticket office, and so she had a little bit of sports in her world, but she's definitely a little more artsy and a marketing desire moving forward. So we'll see how it all ends up.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, my son's 16, junior in high school. First year, I'm not getting to watch him play high school football. He decided now that he's 16, he wanted to enter into the workforce too as well while going to school, which I wasn't going to stop him at
Right.
16. A 16-year-old wanting to earn his own wage and pay for his own gas, and then how do you say no to that as a dad?
Right.
But as growing up playing football and swimming and everything like that, it hurt a little bit of the dad pride not getting Friday night lights and going to watch my son play football. But I am happy to say, unfortunately, this is the quietest my house has been because I am the only person home because both the wife and the son are both working, and that's having a night
It,
off from that. It's
it,
nice in a sense, but he's always wanted to forge his own path. I never forced sports on him. I
mhm,
just showed him the benefits of sports, in that you learn to be a team player, you learn how to work together and
mhm.
stuff you're going to need in the workforce. Um, and I think he's using that now, albeit at a part-time seasonal help at a local retail store here. Just being able to help them stock the shelves is that's great experience for a 16-year-old. I mean,
No, absolutely.
it's he's always wanted to go to a trade school. Wife and I kind of really realized that college probably wasn't in the cards for my son. Growing up in the country, he's had a found respect for the blue collar workers, and that's what he wants to do. And I'm not going to tell him no.
No.
That and he's kicked around the military too as well. So that those are things that as a dad, how do you discourage your
Yeah.
child from doing it for your own selfish reasons?
Right. Well, and those are character building roles, right? He wanted to take responsibility and hold himself accountable, and and he appreciated probably the money that you tossed to him, but he
Yeah,
wanted to kind of get his own. So, he's got to get himself back to work back and forth, and if he puts himself in the schedule, if you need a sub, you better call somebody else to cover for you. If not, you got to show up and go to work. So,
absolutely.
that's I applaud him for doing that at 16. So
Yeah,
definitely some valuable lessons. And
and freshly 16. He turned 16 in May. So
oh,
like, it wasn't like, he's been 16, for a while. I know this is, September already, but still, um, as soon as he turned 16 and was able to get his license, he just got his license about a month and a half ago. And, it's the first thing he wanted to do. He was like, I love football. I have a God given talent to play football. As someone who had little training and came in as a starter in his first year of playing football and knowing not much about the sport. And he was like, I get it. I'm really good at football, but I want to start working. All right. All right, dude. I'm not going to tell you no. Am I
You gotta
upset as a
appreciate it.
dad that I don't get to go and watch you play football? Absolutely. But am I proud of you as a dad for making that decision on your own? Yeah, absolutely. This is it's not a win-win, but it's not a lose-lose either. This is a lose-win. I call it a draw,
Right.
because I don't get to watch him play, but I get to I get to see him growing as a man too, as well, already at 16. So that's a proud moment for me. Do you have anything like that with your son or your daughter?
Yeah, no, it's I remember both of them. My daughter ended up working for the club that she played for, volleyball club, and so she started coaching the younger teams, so the 10 and 10U, and so that really just seeing her confidence grow, being running practice and being able to call timeout during a match and change the lineup and have all those fun things happen, and and same thing. My son, he worked camps in the summertime and was able to kind of, connect with some coaches and support them. Obviously, I think he had a retail job as well. So same type of thing, wanted to, him and his buddy wanted to find a job and, stocking, like as you said, stocking clothes and putting things out. And, he was able to do that all the way through before he went to college. And, once again, those are just, getting their workouts in and going to practice, but also, working, 10 hours a week. There's a lot to be said about that.
Yeah, I mean, he's coming home. He gets maybe an hour, hour and a half to himself, and then it's off to work after school. It's like going to like a football practice or anything like that. Instead of going straight from school to practice and then home, he's coming home. He gets an hour, maybe hour and a half to himself, and then it's all right, Dad. I'm going to work. All right, bub. Love you. See you. Have a good day. It's and that's great to see, and had a little. Um, Fender bender, albeit in my truck. And without me even saying anything, he's like, I'm going to pick up extra shifts. I'm going to help fix for the bumper. Like, dude, I get it. It happens. You're 16. You're going to get in a little fender bender. It's not that bad. Truck's drivable. I'm not upset about it. But that right there tells me that I didn't have to say anything to him. He's like, don't worry. I'm picking up extra shifts when I can on the weekends, and I'm going to help pay for the truck.
I got some accountability there. Nice.
Absolutely, and I atone that to sports where there was a repercussion for your actions. If you screwed up in practice, you were running laps. If you did this, something happened, and it taught him already. And that's why I always push sports. I don't want to say push sports, but as for the younger generation, get these kids involved in something,
Right.
and it'll teach them life lessons down the road. So, for that being said, why should a high school student consider Case Western University?
Yeah, I think, one, the academic standpoint and the profile, just, amazing professors, teachers, and programs that provides an opportunity, I think, really to connect with, like-minded students, faculty that really going to push you, not just with the textbook, but those conversations that you just learn. It's a growth opportunity, right? From
Right.
18 to 21, you just really, really grow up into young adults, and so be able to do that on a campus, in a city that provides a lot of opportunities, is just outstanding. And then the other thing too, like you said, the extracurricular aspect, whether you're an athlete or you're in a play or a musical or all those things, research, the exposure that Case Western Reserve provides, to those type of functions is just a tremendous opportunity for, once again, young people to develop and grow. And then you have, great alumni who, if they're looking, hey, I'm going to call the institution, I need an intern in New York or DC or even abroad. Those opportunities of utilizing the network of alumni, is what it's all about. And Bethany does it, and no
Yep.
different than Case Western Reserve is individuals that understand, the academic rigors that you went through, understand the character and things that you accomplished during that 4 year period. And here's an opportunity to either do an internship or begin your career with those individuals. So tremendous opportunity really for young growth. And that's I'm partial to kind of the college 4 years, and I think it's a tremendous opportunity for young people to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. As someone who got their 4-year degree in communications, and sports broadcasting, and a minor in accounting, it's the 4-year degree can be super beneficial. But at the same sense, not to take anything away from what you just said, I know it's not for everybody.
Right.
It's not for everybody, so you kind of got to make that decision on yourself,
Yeah.
and it's part of the growing process
Yeah.
as a high school students.
Right. Well, and yeah, I think you touched on earlier talking to your son, right? It's what's your plan, right? If it's not that, what is the plan, right? So you
Right,
need to do something, same thing as you mentioned after school. I said, I always told my kids, well, if you don't play sport, what other activity you're doing? Because,
right,
I know I would have got in trouble from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock before my parents got home, right? So it's you need to find a club or some activity to participate in, or a job, as you mentioned. So I think, the young students, right? Young high school students, the ones that do that or set themselves up for success as they move forward because they have those habits of being accountable, having to show up, having to provide service, communicating, and depending on the role, and sometimes just flat out hard work.
yeah,
Whether they're on a farm or working in a factory, and they're pulling up their bootstraps and working hard, and they appreciate the money well earned. So I think that's the beauty of kind of what is afforded to you if you take advantage of it.
absolutely. And I couldn't have said that better myself. So we're just going to move on to the next thing, and kind of one of the last things I want to touch on here. So, what is the hardest sports season to manage? That fall, winter, or spring?
Uh, you know, I'd say the crossover, which is both, right? Because the fall, you're wrapping up soccer's and football, but swimming starts in October, right?
Yeah.
Basketball's going, and so our and we've had success, and we've played pretty late with volleyball and soccer's and NCAA tournaments. So you love that, but you're running back and forth, and those fall championships or right around Thanksgiving, so you're
Hmm.
already knee deep into the first few games of basketball. On the backside, same thing. The winter sports can bleed into spring break, and your spring sports are already geared up. Both baseball and softball go south. Tennis teams go south because of the weather, and so they're playing. So you want to give them all the love and be accessible and attend everything. So you're running in and out, from hopefully NCAA soccer match, and you run to the gym to catch the end of a basketball game.
Yeah, I was gonna say I know a lot of these sports kind of bleed over into one another. Couple of buddies that played football and also played basketball at Bethany. Two sport athletes in college is almost unheard of. And then we had a guy that did it, and he would be coming right from football practice, and basketball practice would be kicking off, and he would go into the coach like, "Is there anything I can do?" He's like, "You can finish your season. You made a commitment to the football. I appreciate you wanting to come in and get some work with the team, but finish your season, and then we'll get you caught up." And that bleed over is a lot because there's a lot of teams going into one area. Fall, spring, winter are all kind of combining into one place there, especially for us at Bethany. The rec center was it. We had
Yep.
basketball and swimmers and some football players all congregating into one area, and it was a lot to see, three different sports teams trying to coincide and into one locker room. I mean, everyone had their own spaces, but still, there was a little bit of bleed over into, well, swim practice is going on, and there's some football players that need, aerobic therapy. You know what I mean? They need the water to be able to
Right.
loosen up some joints too as well. So, you have to be accommodating to that. But Everybody makes it work, and it's awesome to see. Um, but TJ, we are running down near the end of the episode here, and I do have to get this last segment in here. Otherwise, the wonderful manager of the podcast, Johnny Fitty Falcone, will kill me, and that is the Fast Fitty 5, and that is 5 random questions from the wonderful manager of the podcast, Johnny Fitty Falcone. And TJ, these have nothing to do with what we've been talking about for the better part of 45 minutes here. And they're super random. They're kind of rapid fire, but you can elaborate if you need to. And we think it's a fun way to end the episode. So if you're ready, we'll go ahead and get started with the Fast 55.
Let's do it. I'm ready for the pressure.
Question number 1. What would you say is the better flavor for flavored water?
Ooh. For me, I got to go strawberry.
That's a strong choice. That's a strong choice. Strawberry. I'm more of a grape guy, but strawberry will do in a pinch. Question number 2: Are baked or sweet potatoes better?
This is my choice, right?
Your choice. This is all you.
Oh man, sweet potatoes are better for you, but man, there's nothing like a great baked potato.
Absolutely.
I always make that choice when I get the steak. I'm like, should I get the sweet potato? And all right, one of these baked potatoes won't kill me. So
absolutely, for sure. Question number 3. Oh man, who wins the Super Bowl this year?
Oh man, Kansas City Chiefs.
Chance that's an easy choice. I mean, they're in it every year almost. It seems like. Question.
I'm a diehard being from Kansas, so
okay, that makes that decision a little easier for you. Then I guess there. Question number 4. Which car would you rather have, a Dodge Charger or a Chevy Tahoe?
Oh, Dodge Charger.
I mean, that large SUV versus a sports car. It's kind of, and I'm going with the sports car.
Right.
And last question here: is skateboarding exercise?
Oh, absolutely. Kick push. Push.
Yeah,
they made a song about it.
They did make a song about that. That I forgot all about that. Holy hell! But that was a fast 55. I feel like he took it easy on you.
Yeah,
for these
did,
ones, the Super Bowl question was probably, I'd say, the hardest one, give or take. I'm a diehard Buccaneers fan, so I mean, I'm always rooting for the Buccaneers. And Steelers. I grew up an hour outside of Pittsburgh in West Virginia, so
I was gonna say you probably got to be loyal to the Steelers, right?
Oh, loyal to the Steelers, Pirates, Penguins. Growing up that close to the stadium and getting to see all those games there, that's got my allegiance always lies with the Steelers unless they're playing the Buccaneers, and then that's I'm just rooting for offense at that point in time. I don't want to see it. Just rooting for a high score game and it coming down to the wire.
There you go.
But TJ, I do give every guest, like I said, we are running down near the end of the episode here. I do give every guest this opportunity at the end of every show. I'm going to give you about a minute. If there's anything you want to get out there, whether it's about Case Western there, or even if it's just a good message, I'm going to give you about a minute, and the floor is yours.
Oh, great. Appreciate that. Well, one, I think it's appreciate what you're doing and kind of your sports communication background. You got the voice for radio, right? And announcing. So, I think, providing exposure for individuals in the industry to kind of share their message. I think, we have a great conference in a PAC and Bethany and participate in them, obviously in football, but also, a lot of our programs. So, they're, friends of the program and the university and a chance to compete. So, thanks for having, a rival on, right. An opportunity to share the message. But, I think one is just to continue to enhance opportunities for students to experience success. And that's excellence in the classroom, excellence through research and community service. And then we always say we don't want to shy away from winning championships as well. So you might as well do all three of them at the highest levels. So those Spartans.
Absolutely. I do appreciate the shout out, saying, I have the good voice for radio. I always used to say I had a great face for radio.
It's all about the voice, right?
It's all about that voice. My wife hates my radio voice, she says, as she calls it. Whenever I get to talking to somebody and I'm passionate about something, she says my radio voice comes out. And I don't care. I like it. It's helped me grow this podcast for
Do
sure.
you, right?
Yeah, and, I use it on her every now and again when I need something. Having 13 years sales experience, it comes out every now and again. Trying to help out.
Absolutely.
But TJ, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate you coming on and being able to talk everything about Case Western Reserve University there and what you do. And as always, if you enjoyed the show, be a friend, tell a friend. If you didn't, tell them anyways. They might like it just because you didn't. That's gonna do it for me, and I will see y'all next week.
The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by W Energy. Energy drinks made for gamers, streamers, and podcasters alike. For gamers, streamers, and podcasters alike. Go to the link in the description where you can find the best energy drinks out there. Less caffeine than a cup of coffee. Also, no jitters and no crash afterwards. Use the promo code Mike Bono and get yourself 10% off. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by my favorite sponsor of the show, and that is Shankit Golf. Golf apparel made for the everyday golfer. We might not go out and shoot a 6 under par. We're probably going to shoot a 6 over par, but this is going to give us the gear that's going to help us rocket on and off of the course. Go to the link in the bio, use the promo code Mike Bono, and get yourself 10% off there as well.